if something just pops into your head on a Saturday of a story that you know you'll be talking about Monday, you're
Right.
like, I did it. I got something I know is like going to be really funny to pitch on Monday. So
Right.
it's actually a little bit of a relief. It's not like, oh, I can't stop thinking about work. It's like, oh, now I don't have to stress Sunday night or whatever. It's like I know that, well, I'm going to go into Monday with something I think is strong.
Hey everyone, it's Michael Jamin. Welcome back to another episode of Screenwriters Need to Hear This. I got a very interesting guest today because he's going to tell us all about something I know very little about, but I always aspired to do when I was younger. This my next guest, Jesse McLaren, is a writer on Jimmy Kimmel. And again, I just want to know all about that because as a child, I was like, man, that would have been the pinnacle. But I went another way. I went to sitcom writing. But but with how we met, I was walking the strike line outside of Disney, and then Jesse goes, "Hey man, I know you," and he pulls me over because he follows. I guess he follows me on TikTok or Instagram, and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm on Kimmel." So welcome to the show. Thank you, Jesse, for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I want to know all
Uh,
about. And I asked him, I guess I'll talk to you, like how you broke in, and you're like Twitter. So tell me how that all came about.
yeah, like I've always wanted to work in late night. That's always been my end goal. And, ever
As a
since I
kid, you
saw
mean?
Conan,
As a
yeah,
child?
yeah, I remember like cutting school to see Conan. I grew up in Long Island.
And so
And
you go into the
I
city to see a show?
yeah, I just remember like watching in between, the segments, just watching the people behind the scenes, going like, how do I end up working here? When I was like, 16 maybe.
Wow.
Uh,
And
and I
then
always wanted to work late night. Yeah,
and then what did you think about? Like usually you write a packet and you submit, right? Is that but you didn't do that?
that's usually what you do. Yeah, I mean, I for Kimmel, they found me on Twitter. So after I started tweeting jokes and making videos on Twitter as much as I could for a period of
Uh,
time. I used to work at for a while I worked at different TV shows. So I'm one of the, I think, many people late night who worked production jobs first. I used to work
right.
in the field departments and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I noticed that. So you worked like on Colbert. You did a bunch of different shows, right?
Yeah, I worked on a lot of daytime TV shows.
Uh-huh.
It's actually kind of a similar structure, as far as how the show runs, but it's obviously very different content.
Right.
Um,
But why
and
didn't
then
you ever start writing packets and submitting? Or I don't even know how that works. Why didn't you do that?
Well, I did. So when I
Oh,
was, my first, landed a job that was my dream, which is I worked at the Colbert Report,
right.
doing production, doing the field department when he would travel to DC and that kind of thing and interview congressmen. A
Right.
series called Better Know a District.
Hmm.
And whenever a writer job opened up there, anyone who was in a PA or an AP, which I was, or anything like that, they would submit a packet. And then starting like you get to know the writers and you start hearing rumors like, oh, they're starting a new show called Larry Wilmore, and
Right.
or whatever, and you start submitting packets to whatever you can, as someone who's not represented, but someone who kind of has.
So how do you submit even if you don't have an agent?
Well, back at that point, it was like if like you have a friend of a friend who's like submitting, and they'll say, "This is the email we are told to send it to by this time," and it kind of becomes this like network of just like something like if you find out about a packet, you might tell some of your other friends that
And
there's
so,
a
okay,
packet going
good. So
on.
how did you have friends that knew all this?
I think that was from working at Colbert.
Oh,
Colbert was,
right,
I interned there. I applied as an when I was in college. I applied to be an intern at everywhere, but I ended up at MTV Networks,
right.
and it was like my second to last semester. I was interning at Nickelodeon, and
Mm-hmm.
like in a tape room, just filing tapes.
Yeah.
And in the orientation, I heard someone in the elevator go, "Oh, I'm going to be at the Daily Show," and I was like, "Wait, that was a possibility."
Yeah.
And in New
That's
York at that time, yeah,
Go ahead. No, keep going. That's just fascinating to me. Go ahead.
the Daily Show and the Colbert Report were like the two shows under MTV that were actually a show that shot, and you would actually be part of a production.
Yeah.
Um, so I applied to be at the Colbert Report, I think it helped that I already had an internship with NT Networks, and I interned there. I eventually, made connections there. Would sometimes throughout the next few years, like if they needed a PA for the week, I would come by and that kind of thing.
See, this is what I'm always telling people. I say, get as close as you can physically to the job you want, and that's what you did. Is as an intern or a PA, whatever it is, you're just getting close, just so you could learn, be around it, hear from other people, and just make those contacts that way, right? And then
yeah.
And then when you're putting together packets, I mean, each show do they kind of want different stuff? I mean, they must say they do. They must say, no, Conan's voice is this, and were you studying the shows?
I mean, every packet's way different. I mean, at the time, the Colbert packet I remember was like pretty intense. It was like you had that segment, The Word. I don't know if you're familiar with the show, but it was pretty. It was, a monologue, 2-camera on one subject, and it would have all these editorial like voices through text, just kind of like chiming in as jokes, but also, and it was kind of complicated, especially if you've never written for, like it's one thing to write a page of monologue jokes, but it's another like write an entire one of these segments that has to like, be about a topic that needs attention and it is written in a clever way, and so.
But so you're basically coming up. But were you coming up with any original stuff, or just like, okay, here's my version of of that, The Word, or are you coming with any new bits for him to do? You know what I'm saying? Any like
Yeah, any packet I've ever seen has always been different. So that show specifically, I think they really were like focused on what they want for the packets. Like one of these segments we do, one of these segments we do. Maybe I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was pretty much like, especially because that show wasn't like monologue jokes. It was a character who had a very specific point of didn't realize he was saying funny things, like that kind of thing.
And so you hand in these packets. It's not like they have a hiring season. They just if you get lucky, if they were hiring today, great. If not, maybe they keep you on file. Is that how it works?
I guess so. I mean, I've never gotten hired from a packet, so it's like I don't know. I think every show is completely different, and I think every I'm not entirely sure how we do it at Kimmel, but I know they found me through Twitter. I know other people have written packets for them, but
and so on Twitter. This is amazing. So you're just going out. What were you doing at the time? You've been on Twitter for how long? How many years?
Like a while. I think I worked at let's see, probably like 8 years. I've been like actively really using it a lot.
And so every morning, before you get hired by Kimmel, what's your process for writing? You just come up, you sit down on the table, you read the newspaper, and you try to bang out 10 jokes, or what do you do?
No, I think it's more quality over quantity for that kind of thing too, because you just want to. I think the thing with Twitter is it's like, when a news story happens, this wave, and you kind of want to get the funniest joke in there as early as possible.
But are you but are you just putting it on your feed, or are you writing it under someone else's comment, like some like newscaster's comment, and then you to try to get their traffic?
I think just writing a joke about, everyone's talking about one thing, if you just have the perfect thing. I'm trying to think of a good example. It's really hard off the top of my head, but.
So you just post it in your feed, you give it a hashtag, hope someone would search for it, hope one of your whatever friends who follow you retweets it, and it goes viral. Yeah. That's your plan, basically.
Yeah, I think every social media is a little different, but like especially Twitter, the whole thing is try and get retweets. That's how something.
And so
how quickly it can have,
But then so something would occur to you, and then you'd write a couple of jokes, or just one, or what? Or as it comes, you just tweet it. And now, did you have a schedule? Did you have any kind of discipline to this, or were you just like whatever came to you?
I don't think I had any discipline. No, I think with Twitter, it's like, it's an addiction almost. It's just, you'll be out to dinner with your friends. You'll look down at your phone and just see like, oh my God, I can't believe, just something happened. And,
okay, so you're on there a lot then, basically.
I used to be on there very often, yeah.
Really? And so on an average day before you were found, like how many tweets would you send out in a day?
I don't know. Maybe like 5 to 10, kind of.
Okay.
It's hard to tell, yeah.
And then some would get
a lot of it would also, and a lot of it would also just be like at work. I also worked at BuzzFeed for a while.
Okay.
So I kind of, one, I in real life knew people who, we followed each other on social media, but they had big social media followings. So if they
Right.
saw something I tweeted, a joke that they liked, they might retweet it, and that would get
Right.
me more followers. And then it also, just working there, really taught me a lot about how social media works. And yeah.
What did you learn that you could share? Like, what's your big takeaway?
Well, I think, I mean, specifically with jokes and Twitter, one, they all change over time a little bit, but I think Twitter consistently, like, if you want a lot of people to see something you made, it almost doesn't even matter how many followers you have, but if you can get something retweeted a lot, it can kind of just work like brush fire, where, you might have, 30 followers, but if someone sees it and retweets it and more people do it, it could
But are
quickly
you
go
creating
at
a brand?
30,000,
Are you staying on brand when you do this, or are you like, because it's one thing, like, okay, this guy tweets out funny topical jokes every day, and he's not tweeting out what he ate for lunch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Are you staying on brand? I'm a joke writer, and that's it.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
You don't know. You're just going with it. Whatever was work. I mean, it worked. I'm just curious how it worked.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was just always jokes, and I would also, make videos or photoshops, just pieces of actual media, that kind of
Uh-huh.
thing. But it was always the goal of tweeting something and seeing as many people, trying to get a lot of engagement with it,
And
and
then
hopefully something funny. Yeah,
someone found it, and then tell me how Kimmel came about.
I think. Well, over time, like, the more I started realizing that this could lead to a writing job, more than I used to work at the Colbert Report. I submitted packets places, but that never really did anything for me. It
Right.
always,
Were you
yeah, I never got.
frustrated? Were you frustrated by that? Were you upset, or what? When you weren't getting hired, what was your take on that?
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's also, if I go back and read one of those packets now, I can't do it. So it's like, at the time,
Oh,
I thought this is like the best thing I've ever
interesting.
written. How could they not hire me? And then now,
Interesting. And really, because you've really grown, and that just comes from practice, you think, or what?
yeah, I think it's anything that gives you actual feedback
Uh-huh.
is really important. And to me, Twitter gave me feedback. I'm really, like, not comfortable on stage. I don't have that drive. I don't like doing
Right.
performance.
I asked you that if you're a stand-up, and you're like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to do
Yeah,
stand-up.
it's like, I just never, no interest. I'm like one of the few writers who doesn't want to be on camera.
Uh-huh.
But Twitter, that's why, for me specifically, it was a really good way to learn how to be a better writer, just
Mhm.
because you'd see what people actually find funny, and especially once.
Okay, so then, someone somehow one of your tweets, do you know which one landed on the desk of Jimmy Kimmel somehow?
I'm not sure which one. I think it might have been about Mike Huckabee. I
Oh,
feel
okay.
like it was like some kind of, like, I tweeted something. I just remember, I think, like, Julie Louis Dreyfus maybe retweeted it or something. It's like sometimes you would see, like, oh, this person retweeted your tweet.
Right.
Uh, and then I just remember, like, within quick succession, like, Jimmy and a couple of his writers, our producers, followed me, like, within like 15 minutes. So I don't know
Now,
if it was from that tweet or if it was from,
and how would you know? I mean, you're not following your followers by the second. I mean,
no, if it says, like, I think when someone verified followed you at
okay.
that point, it would be like before people who were verified were, like,
And so you noticed
crazy
they
people.
followed you, and you're like, damn, this is good. And then what happened?
And then, yeah, eventually they reached out and just said, hey, we would just want to know more about you. And eventually
Uh,
that kind of turned into an interview process, once I
but they didn't
expressed
ask
that
you to submit a packet, though.
I didn't end up submitting a packet for them, no.
They just looked at your body of work on Twitter and go, okay, this guy's funny, consistently funny, right?
Yeah, I think I kind of treated that week, as my, or whatever it was, as my packet, where I would just consistently tweet things that I thought were in the show's voice, or that they would maybe see and go, God, I wish, we should have thought of that. Anything that I
All
can think that they might think that is, like, what I really tried to do.
right.
And yeah.
Okay, so then they hire you. Tell me what your day is like. Well, first of all, are you working in person, or are you on Zoom or remote, or now,
Yeah, we're in person, yeah.
you're in person. So you go to work, you show up, what, 10 o'clock?
Yeah, we start early at home. We write a lot of our jokes at home first, which is great.
So you come in
Because
prepared. How many
yeah, because
jokes will you have when you come into work?
we will, we'll write anything from, they'll always say it's quality over quantity there,
Right,
they don't want to have to sift through too many jokes just because
right.
you want to, Um, so like I would say that anywhere from 10 to 20 is normal, I
And you
think.
feel good about it. You feel good that okay, these are, and then
But
okay, so
it matters which of your jokes get picked. So in the morning, then they'll kind of, I think Jimmy will go through all the material, and at that point, that's all you care about. You don't care about how many jokes you sent. You care about how
how
many
many?
eventually get.
And so
Yeah,
on a good day, how many of your jokes will get in into the monologue? You're talking about the monologue now.
yeah.
Yeah.
I could. Someone told me when I started. Uh, I've heard this from other shows too. People say like one is a good day, four is an amazing day. That's something
Right.
that I've heard like at Colbert, and I think that kind of holds up. Like if you get, but it's more about it's not just jokes. It's kind of over time. Like if you have one joke a few days in a row, maybe that's not great. If you have one day that was just incredible, you had a segment you wrote that did really well, you'd feel
Right.
good. And the next day you don't get any jokes. You just be like, okay, well, I had a great day yesterday, and today I didn't get as many on.
What do
But
you do with the jokes that don't get selected? Do you tweet them or are they just go in the garbage?
I used to sometimes I would tweet them, but it just felt like you never know if a story's going to come up again in some way you don't expect, and
Okay.
maybe that joke was worth revisiting. It's rare you don't want to pitch a joke ever. I'm sure in
No,
your
you
work
don't want
you
to no, you don't want to pitch it again to right. But you
yeah
think you can retool it and change it enough to make it fresh.
yeah, but also at a certain point you're like, well, this already failed some kind of test to this joke,
Right.
because you're never completely confident in a joke. You're like, well, if the show didn't want this, maybe it's not the best joke. So I've in the past a joke didn't get on, I tweeted it and it just fell flat, no one cared. And I'm like, oh well,
Must yeah,
that maybe that
must
adds
not be
up.
funny. But so if when you come into work, let's say, all right, let's say you put together 10 jokes. How long would that take you to before you feel okay? Is it an hour of work? How long does it take you to do that?
It's like they send out, they'll send out topics in the morning. A writer's assistant who gets up very early will send out topics, and then you send your jokes, and that's usually a period of about an hour and 50 minutes. You
But
can
where the
start a little
top
later, you can start a little earlier.
when they say topics, are they giving the setups, or they just say we want to do jokes about inflation or whatever?
Yeah, like here are like 8 to whatever story, like 5 to 8 stories that are good. Whatever.
Oh,
If
okay.
you have another story you
Oh,
think is like,
okay.
we should cover that, go ahead. But it's like a good, just kind of keeps everyone grounded. At least we're all talking about similar
The same
things.
thing. You see, that's interesting because like I've tweeted a couple of jokes just as when I had downtime, well, more than a couple, but whatever. I found if I went onto a website, I'm curious what your take is. Like going on CNN or whatever, or Washington, any website, New York Times, Washington Post, going on their site and reading their headline or reading the article to me was not helpful because they already had an angle. Whereas I just wanted to get this, give me the straight line. And so I would go into others. They would just like the news, aggregators. The straight, just give me the straight line so I don't get any spin on it, and then I'll come up with a spin. Is that how you do it or no?
No, I think we just see the headline. And to write jokes for something, you have to kind of think of every angle you can to see if there's something funny. So
Yeah.
I think that usually works itself out because whatever the story is, it's more the headline and the facts of it that you're just trying to find any
Do you feel you've
funny
gotten
angle
better
on.
at this over the years? Is it coming? Does it get easier for you?
I think it has gotten easier, but it's not like, oh, I get this many jokes on now. As I think now just the process is more, I can recognize a good joke.
Yes.
I can edit myself better now. I can
Right.
say, you know what? Instead of sending these 15 jokes, I'm going to send these 8, and this is probably the best. I think that's what I've gotten better at.
And this is
Um,
something that you do even when you're obviously when you're in a bad mood. When you're not in the mood to be funny, you got to be funny.
yeah, and but yeah, I love it. I love sitting down and writing. Our morning is my favorite part of the day, and
Right.
I kind of like the way that our day is structured, where the most high pressure part is over with as quick as possible. Because once that's done, you kind of did as writers, at least. For everyone else, the day is structured a little different. But for us, it's like you have to really be on point in the morning. And then
How many monologue writers are there on Kimmel?
I think altogether we have, I should know this, probably around 15 to 20 writers in general.
Wow.
We're not split like other shows.
Oh, yeah, some other shows. Yeah, how do other shows do it? I cut you off. Some do have monologue writers, then what else?
I think like Fallon, I know, I had a friend there who was like, I am a monologue writer, like I write monologue. I think every show, all these shows, I think every show kind of like figured it out for themselves. So every show is a little bit of a different like universe kind of built around the same thing, but some of them are just, but some of them are separated where it's like, these are the monologue writers, these people write segment pitches or bits. But we kind of all do everything.
And so, okay, so tell me what it's like. Okay, so you come to work now, you're given, I don't know, whatever, 10 jokes. Now you're in the office, and then what's next?
It depends. With the jokes, if you also pitch any bits you could think of, like something that would just have more substance and be, producible. It's very important,
And that seems to be the hard part for me. How do you come up with that?
I think that's what I was good at on Twitter. I think that's kind of what they liked about my Twitter. I would, like one example I could think of that I think that they saw was Sarah Huckabee Sanders was giving, it was like, when Sarah Huckabee Sanders first started, there's a lot of attention on her and everyone's like, who is this person? And I think she was talking about sinkholes under the White House. Do you remember that was a story? It was
I don't remember
the
that.
White House. Yeah, it was like one of these things. Like at the time, it was just like, what the fuck? It's like there are sinkholes opening up under the White House. You see like pictures of caution tape, and there's jokes about like they're sinking into hell or whatever it is. But she said in she was, I don't remember what it was exactly, but she was maybe saying there aren't sinkholes under the White House. But whatever she was saying, she was denying that this was a thing. So I am able to use After Effects to have her slowly sinking as she said that, and then she like plummets through.
But that's a funny bit. But that would have gone in the monologue, right?
Yeah, I think so. So that and that's something that but that's something I did before Kimmel, but that I think maybe got their attention maybe when they said that's the kind of thing we want,
Right.
But that's what our show would consider like a bit, something that has some production to it, that you could get that done by the end of the day. And the fact that I kind of knew I could do this myself, it wouldn't look nearly as good as our team because they're professionals, right. But I know that if I pitch that at the show, I know like, okay, we can get this done by 4:00, whatever taping is today.
But you would, on the show, you wouldn't have done the graphics. Someone else would have done it.
No. Yeah. So it just helps to have the knowledge. Yeah. It just helps to know, like, because you never want to pitch something.
Yes. Right.
Drives people crazy. Yeah.
But do bigger bits, like any kind of, do you also do like something that are more stagey with him or out in the field or whatever? Do you pitch that as well?
Yeah, I mean, those are, always a very specific thing. It'll be like, those will be like an assignment. It'll be, hey, by 5:00, send some ideas for, this actor wants to do something with us, and they're promoting this movie where they're a fighter pilot or something. And you go, okay, like, and we'll have them for maybe you'll get something like that. We'll have them for a couple of hours.
Right.
And and they can't change it to costume or whatever because they're becoming right from a thing. There's always like it's all restriction. Yeah. It's all you take, especially in late night. It's like, what can we make the most out of this? And and then there are some times that we are able to do something that is time and production and people, is a bigger thing. But, for our main day-to-day, it's always thinking about making this producible, making sure this is something that we can get done in time.
Right. That's exactly right. You never want to get them wet. Nothing where they have wardrobe change, like their hair wet. But now what is like the contract cycle look like for a late night writer? Is like how long? Yeah, how long is your contracts?
Usually 3 years, I think, which I think
really?
is typical of. Yeah, so
you have an option. I would assume a new writer would have an option for like 10 weeks or something. No, and then
I think it's it's that thing where I'm on cycles. I think about like 13 weeks, something like that.
Right.
from their side, like they can get rid of me every 13. That's the way I always understood it. When I worked in daytime, that's how it was. Like, not even just as like a field producer or whatever, they had me on, I think, the same exact situation where every 13 weeks when I was at like, Rachel Ray or whatever the daytime TV show was, it was like every 13 weeks they might get rid of you, or you could, but you're out of your contract after 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, depending on what they give you.
And that contract is basically pay raise, right? That's what that means.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's you renegotiate,
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Michael Jamin. If you like my videos and you want me to email them to you for free, join my watch list. Every Friday, I send out my top 3 videos. These are for writers, actors, creative types. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. I'm not going to spam you, and it's absolutely free. Just go to michaeljamin.com/watchlist.
I mean, you've been on staff now for what, 5 years on Kimmel? Let me see.
Yeah.
So you're not sweating it out every 13 weeks the way someone who just started would be sweating it out.
I always am just like feel so lucky that I get to work in late night at all, but I can never, and I'll always, if I have a bad week, I'm like, I'm gonna get fired. That's just always the way my brain just works. That's part of the way I motivate myself, for good or bad. But it won't compare to that first 13 weeks where legitimately you're like, I might not be good at this job. I don't know, because I have no point of reference. And
how much collaboration is there with other writers? Do you have a writing room?
We don't have as much of a writing room on our show in terms of like every day. Like it's like we have a morning meeting of writers every day kind of thing. We just have our room just for like, oh, today it's more casual. It's more people if you're having a problem with something, you're just like, I can't figure out the ending to this thing, whatever.
Right.
That's when we'll be like, oh, let's we'll just bring it up today. And then there's a lot of just kind of casual, you just pull someone else into something. Sometimes it's like, I have a really funny idea, I think, for this guest coming up. I don't watch the show though. Like, do you watch this show? Does this make sense? Do you want to team up with me on it and we'll both write together, or that kind of thing? Yeah.
Now, so I'm guessing there's a head writer on Kimmel who reads all the submissions and decides what to give to Jimmy for his ultimate approval. Is that how it works?
Yeah, we have head writers who split, responsibility. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, but because our show is so quick, everything would be filtered through head writers. Or if it's like the show's starting in 5 minutes, it's like just show him whatever. You need something approved for that night, and he's in the makeup chair. Maybe you would.
Right. Are you on the floor during taping or no?
Yeah. Not often, no. I mean, our studio, I have just for like, I haven't too often, no. Our studio is a little cramped, so we don't really go in there.
So, but you watch it, I guess in your offices, you have a live feed, line.
Yeah, we'll watch it from, I'm saying this now because we just went through a pandemic, so we're still like, everything is still like very restricted and everything.
Yeah.
We're still like, obviously, but we would normally watch it from like a green room in the building. That would be like, where everyone would just kind of meet up and watch the show.
Right. But see what works and what doesn't work. Is there a post-mortem? Do you talk about it afterwards, or are you done? Once the show's done, do you all go home? What's next?
I think so. I mean, for the writers, like the staff writers, that's pretty much, then you're just getting ready for the next day. I'm sure for the producers and other people on the show, it's a different story but for us who have the easiest job, because like I said before, the pressure for us is done in the morning. That's when we really have to get our ideas out and everything.
Are there
not as much sweating at that point?
Are there many? In my mind, it's mostly a young person's game. But there aren't, and I could be totally wrong about this, but there aren't. Are there many like people maybe my age who are still writing for late night, or do they move on to other things?
No, I think for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously Robert Smigel is like the famous guy, but I didn't know like what kind of, these guys, do they bounce around from show to show? Is that how it works?
No, I don't know, because I think a lot of these shows are pretty like, there's not a lot of writing turnover. Some of them I think there are, but where I've worked at Colbert and Kimmel, there's not as much turnover. And I think, yeah, the age ranges, are pretty significant. I think that at Colbert, there's writers who have been there for since I interned there in 2008 who are still writing for him. And
right. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because
I don't want to name anyone as the old guy or something.
Yeah, I know. That's cool.
Like, definitely different. Yeah.
But they've been around the block. You must get their stories. Hey, what was it like writing for Jack Benny? I mean, you must want to get their stories out of them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's writers who I, didn't realize. There'd be a sketch that I watched when I was 15. I thought was the funniest thing in the world. And you find out that my buddy wrote it, and you're like, oh, that's so fucking cool. Or
that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your goal is basically that you want this to be your career forever until you're done.
I don't think it's sustainable, but it is like, I would just, I just really love late night. It's like,
why do you think it's not sustainable though?
I just think it's tough. I think so much of getting a job in late night is luck. So, and I'm a pessimist in general. So the fact that I got this job, I was like,
But at this point, you've proven yourself. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, right? I imagine you've made contacts. You've proven yourself. If you were to start on another show tomorrow for a different host, I don't know. Like, I'm sure you'd be like, okay, I know how to do this job, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, it's interesting. We'll have a guest host on over the summer, and it'll be like a really wide range of personalities. It'll be like RuPaul, David Spade, an actor who isn't an entertainer in that way, who, just were kind of like a movie star. And it's like, you'll see some people, like, your jokes just they don't know how to deliver. Like, yeah, not know how to deliver it. They just don't pick your jokes. Your humor doesn't match up with them. And some of them are like people you are your comedic heroes, and you're just like,
yeah.
And so it's and I think it is a little bit of a dice roll too. Like, if you matching your writer with your host sensibilities and stuff, it's kind of like there's a tricky thing there. So I think there's a lot of like just luck that goes into ending up at one of these jobs and having it really, really click.
Well, what do you imagine is going on with the James Corden writers? Like, when, because obviously they're out of work. What do you think is going through their minds?
I don't know. I mean, I think everyone has a different, like, writers are also weird people. They all come from, like, not everyone is like me. So, like, I want to do this forever. Like, some people are like, well, I'm going to go back into this business. Some people are stand-ups and they'll go do stand-ups. Some people,
you think some people want to go back into like a corporate or something, like some regular business?
Yeah, I think I feel like I've seen writers, like, especially from when I was at Colbert so long ago, just like, end up leaving and doing things like in other genres, right? Children's stuff, like, or just, just kind of like not necessarily stay in comedy, stay in late night, stay in writing even.
Right.
So I don't know. I couldn't speak for the Corden writers, and I think there's a lot of people who like had to stand up and do other forms of comedy that,
Do you have a process, or do you have a way of looking at the world or opening your mind to think of funny things? Is there how do you approach any? I mean, I have my own thoughts, but I want to know what your thoughts are.
I think I do things analytically. Or I write in the least funny way,
What does that mean?
When I first started at this job, I've never had to like write 20 jokes in the morning, that kind of thing. And that was the main thing. I was like, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to do it. And I would like literally write a post-it of like possible ways to get a joke out of a news story.
Okay.
Like, I lost that post-it now. Like, now I don't need that. But at that time, I was like, because if I'm going to need to write like 3 to 4 jokes out of and some news stories are just inherently not funny at all. Not only, serious, but some of them are like, sometimes our topics for jokes will be the Dodgers are up in game 2 of the World Series. And you have to write jokes about that. And then the next night, it's the Dodgers are up 3 in game 3 of the World Series, and you have to write jokes about that. And it's like,
how do you go about doing that? What's your okay? So can you walk me through that? It sounds horrible. Like I don't know what's funny about that.
Yeah, it's the thing. So it's just like you have to think what city are they playing? Also, sports is
Okay.
my weakest area.
Right.
It's like what city are they playing? Okay, LA, and and you're just like St. Louis. What can we make? Just whatever it is, whatever if it's the NBA or wherever. Like, what are any associations between these two cities that
Right.
just some connection that you can make? Like, one celebrity who maybe famously lived in just something, and like but something I maybe missed yesterday. You know, like it's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that's
Those
really tough. Like, yeah, I might strike out on doing that. I really did. I really might. Like, shit. I don't know. You're on your own. Like, because I don't. You don't have a strong enough attitude, or isn't enough. Yeah, there's no attitude behind it. It's almost fact.
Yeah. And if I have like 2 hours, most of my jokes will be in the last 10 minutes every time, no matter what.
Really.
So that's it. Yeah.
Where do
So
you
I
do
think
this?
a lot
On
of
the
it's just the
couch, on the
filter.
desk? Do you have a place you go?
Yeah, I'll do it on the couch or yeah, when I first started, I would do it in coffee shops just to force myself to like be somewhere.
Uh-huh.
I like, I have ADD too. It's like I have to really focus and I have to really force myself to focus sometimes because it's so easy to just say, I'm just gonna like look at my phone or do.
Are you able to turn
Um,
it off though? I imagine like on a Saturday or Sunday, a big news story, you go, oh shit, we know we're going to be talking about this on Monday. Do you like,
yeah, definitely.
and do you start making notes, or you're like, I'm off the clock?
I'll make notes for sure, but that's actually really helpful because
Mm,
if something just pops into your head on a Saturday, the story that you'll be talking about Monday, you're
right,
like, I did it. I got something I know is like going to be really funny to pitch on Monday. So
right.
it's actually a little bit of a relief. It's not like, oh, I can't stop thinking about work. It's like, oh, and now I don't have to stress Sunday night or whatever. It's like I know that well, I'm going to go into Monday with something I think is strong.
So for you, it's almost like solving a puzzle. Sounds like joke writing.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Do you do
I
any other kinds of writing though?
Not much. I do a little bit of like just do. I've written like specs and stuff like that for fun and to grow that muscle.
Right.
But really, it's mostly like joke writing, and that is the main writing I do, and especially because it is the job is a lot. It's demanding. When the show's on, it's like
But and I noticed because you still post on Twitter and TikTok a little, but has that fallen by the wayside for you? I mean, you're busy.
yeah, I think a little bit for sure. Like when the show's on, and you don't want to tweet something that would have been
Right.
funny on the show,
Right.
that doesn't do anything for you. And to an extent, like Twitter was always my end goal was always working in comedy and working and getting paid to write jokes, and
Right.
I've done that. And so it's like doesn't some more Twitter now is just more for fun or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's why when you asked how often do you tweet, like back when I was really hungry for trying to get a late night job, I would be really anytime I saw a news story, I would just try to get the funniest joke as early as I could.
Right. You want to be first, exactly. Do you think the other writers mostly break in packets or unconventional ways?
I think all sorts of ways. I mean, everybody, is like I don't know who originally said this, but I've heard someone describe a writer's room, especially in late night, as like a superhero team where everyone has their own like
Uh-huh.
superpower. And you have some people who are just really good political writers and can do
Right.
satire. Really, if some people who are just really strong stand-ups and can write like barbs and that kind of thing that are like really
Right.
strong like roast kind of jokes, and that's
What do
just
you
what they're
feel
good
your
at. And
what do you feel your specialty is?
I don't know. I think bits is what I always feel the most comfortable in, and that kind of thing of
Uh-huh.
doing something with video and anything with like if I see video, especially just having worked in TV for as long as that and that kind of thing, I
Mm.
just can know like that footage of Biden doing this, we can add this to it
Right. So
with a green screen.
you think very visually then. What am I looking at? Not what am I listening to? What am I watching? Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
over the years, I've gotten more into the joke writing itself, and I really love writing jokes, but I think the strongest area for me is definitely those kind of visual things, for sure.
Now, what's your takeaway when you write something and it bombs? They pick it and it bombs.
Yeah, that's always, and that happens. Yeah, I don't know. I think that with our show, the good thing about it being fast paced is by the next day you don't remember.
Right.
Just the way, like, I've never had something where the next day I'm like, oh my God, and you're just like, okay, well, that didn't go great, and then you just avoid doing whatever that did wrong if you could.
Are you hugely embarrassed? To me, it's when I pitch something and it bombs. To me, it's funny. Like I just like, wow, I guess I'm deluded. But do you feel that way too, or you just, oh my God, I'm gonna be fired?
No, I never think I'm gonna be fired, because in the end, it's like, like none of us knew. If anything, like the joke was picked, like we thought maybe it would work. So it feels like it's not just on you.
Right.
And nothing's ever like bombs to like, it's like people are like booing, That's funny. You like when people boo, because that's fun, but it's never just like dead silence, especially in that kind of environment. But you do have things sometimes that just don't work great, for sure. Like and it's always just like, we just didn't have, it's like, let's make a movie trailer for the new Guardians of the Galaxy, but we'll make it like, and it's just like, all right, that's not going to look that great if we're going to have it done in 3 hours.
Yeah, right.
I think we could do it. It just doesn't quite work. It's like, should have worked, but maybe if it needed another hour of love.
But who's doing that? I mean, do you have a producer that you generally work with? Because that would be the producer's job, is to put something like that together, right?
Yeah, I mean, as a writer, you oversee that kind of stuff with directors and producers.
Oh, okay.
And it's always like, if something wasn't ready for air, you wouldn't air it. Like, if there's you do make those determinations sometimes. You will say, hey, we have an hour left on this. It's not going to make it. Like, it's not worth. Let's save this for tomorrow, or it just didn't work.
Do you have advice for people who would either want to break in or try to become good joke writers, or what advice, wisdom can you share?
For me, it's like, the advice I got, when I was at Colbert, they read my packet, and that was a really nice thing that they did for their staff members. If you're like a PA and you submit a packet, they at least read it and give you some feedback. One thing they said is, they told me is, find a way to get feedback. Do stand up. Find a way where you're actually reading these jokes yourself. And for me, I think that and I'm sure like any stand-up comedian will roll their eyes at this, but for me, that was Twitter, because that is the place where I figured out I got reception. If a joke was really bad, if it was really funny, I would at least get some kind of like, okay, this kind of joke is funnier, and I think just forcing yourself to get some feedback, finding yourself, whether that's performing live or some way on the internet, like I did, finding a way that you have to actually be accountable for your jokes, and it's not just throwing them out into a void. Because, I think that's why when I wrote packets when I was a lot younger, I thought they were just the funniest thing in the world. How could they not hire me? And I read it now, and I'm like, yeah, of course they didn't hire me.
Yeah, right.
Good.
Since you mentioned it, I don't know if you heard of my first job. I worked with a guy named Marsh McCall, who was the head writer on Conan. I think that's season 1. Have you heard of him, Marsh? Well, he died a few years ago, but
okay, yeah.
But he was the head writer. He was the head writer on Conan. He gave me some great advice for joke writing when I was on Just Shoot Me the first season. And he said, if everyone's going this way to get to the joke, go that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't try to, whatever path it looks like is the natural way to get the laugh, find somewhere else, because you're never gonna. Everyone else is going that way. They're gonna beat you. You got to find your own path. Do you think the same way?
No, I don't think that. I mean, I think that's good advice, but I think for someone like me, I wouldn't see that until after the fact. I would write jokes first, and then when I edit it, like I said, I think I've gotten better at editing. That's when I would maybe see that. I would just know that this is a good joke.
But, well, let me ask you this though, because sometimes on social media, someone will say something, and I'm like, oh, I got the perfect response. And then I'll scroll down the comments and I'll see, has anyone said this yet? And if someone's already said it, I feel embarrassed for myself. I feel relieved that I didn't write it down, and embarrassed that I didn't do better than that,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why. Well, that's why I'd always be uh, after a while, you start to like just know that that's going to be that thing. Like something happens, you already know before you look in the replies. Everyone's already made this joke for sure.
Yes, right. And so you got to, yeah. If it's that easy, don't do it. Find.
But yeah. But sometimes it's like this just clearly it's that because it's the funniest joke and it's like, it's unavoidable almost sometimes,
Right.
when, I think, but things like, the Rudy Giuliani landscape, Four Seasons landscaping things, like there's just some things that were like, everyone was making the same jokes, but you just kind of had to because it just kind of called for it.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part, I think that I just try to, I'll write 8 jokes for something, 6 of which aren't even like would be embarrassing if I wouldn't even read it. It's just like trying to just get some kind of thought out.
Right.
And then you have 2, and maybe 1 out of the 2, you're like, I think that's the strong point of view. That's something that no one else would have thought of. Or
right. So sometimes just you actually have to just write it down. And then move on to the next one, and then edit yourself later, just so that you can get to the joke, right? Just so you can find it.
Yeah, I'll do a lot of just vomit of like just write 8 just thoughts about this story, even if they're not fun, especially if they're not funny. Just write anything you want, and then sometimes just that statement is the joke, or but yeah.
It's so interesting. Yeah. Jesse, tell people, I want to thank you so much for giving me all your time. I think this to me is so interesting. I'm fascinated by what you guys do. It's just a world I know nothing about. So, but tell people how they can follow you or find you on, social media if they want to be. I think you're going to get a bunch of new fans now.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm Mick Jesse on Twitter. For as long as we're still all on Twitter. And yeah, and that's pretty much where I post most things.
And do you worry about that going? Yeah, as long as we're still on Twitter. I mean, do you worry about starting from scratch if we all decide to go to some other platform?
I did it first, but now at this point, I'm just like, let's just do it.
Why do you feel that way?
I don't know, because I think when we go to a new thing like Blue Sky, you start just seeing, the people I like find me and I find them.
But are you on Blue Sky? Not yet. No,
I am on Blue Sky.
You got pre-approved because it's hard to get approved.
Yeah, I shamelessly tweeted does anyone have a Blue Sky code? Trying to see exactly I don't know what my name is on it, but I think it's just Mick Jesse on that too. But I shamelessly tweeted, does anyone have a Blue Sky code? And one person messaged me and was like, I do. And then I got on it that way.
And they gave you their code.
Yeah, I just don't know how the invite codes work on Blue Sky. I had, it says under your name, invite codes, it says 0. And then after a couple of weeks, now it says I have 1. And I'm like, oh, I have 1 now.
Wow.
I'll give that to my wife, or whoever wanted one.
Whoever wants one, but you're not really on it yet, or are you?
A little bit, yeah. But it's pretty good. It's the closest to Twitter, I think we found.
But you're not worried. I mean, you don't have nearly as many followers on Blue Sky as you do on Twitter, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like the Twitter followers, I have over 1 million followers, and I feel like if you tweet something that's not funny, it still gets 11 likes, and that's it. It's kind of.
What, on Twitter, you mean?
Yeah, I think that the
people have disappeared.
Yeah, or that's just always the way it is. I think the algorithm, the way it works is still it shows the tweet to X amount of people, 10 people. If none of them engage with it or look at it or care, then it just doesn't show it to more people.
Right.
So I think, I don't know. I think that it's just as long as you have a network of funny people, and if that's what you want to do comedy, you have funny people that follow you and you follow them back. And then I think if you move to a new platform, you could still find a good audience to share funny things.
Interesting. Right. Okay. So again, you're making a case for getting out there, making friends with people and getting close to the job you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And working in TV really helped too, for sure.
Yeah. Right.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. You started at the bottom. Good for you. I'm impressed, Jesse. You did it. You did it.
Well, it was nice meeting you on the picket line. And,
it's a pleasure.
I recognize you from TikTok because I think you come up in my algorithm all the time because I'm
Yeah.
always looking at any kind of screenwriting or comedy things. So you'll pop up and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I know that. Yeah.
That's great, man. I want to thank you again so much for taking your time. It was a great talk. I really appreciate this. All right,
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you for having me on. Yeah.
Thank you. Big round of applause for Jesse. Go follow him on TikTok or Twitter, to anywhere. We'll see. Wherever he goes next, wherever it is. All right, buddy. Thank you so much. Great talk, everyone. Until next week, keep following me. I post, check out my newsletter, michaeljamin.com/watchlist, for have my content sent to you. All right. Until next week, keep writing. Thanks.
This has been an episode of Screenwriters Need to Hear This with Michael Jamin and Phil Hudson. If you're interested in learning more about writing, make sure you register for Michael's monthly webinar at michaeljamin.com/webinar. If you found this podcast helpful, consider sharing it with a friend and leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. For free screenwriting tips, follow Michael Jamin on social media at Michael Jamin Writer. You can follow Phil Hudson on social media at Phil A. Hudson. This podcast was produced by Phil Hudson. It was edited by Dallas Crane. Music by Ken Joseph. Until next time, keep writing.